I took my pants off earlier, so
My pants, I never had pants on.
His high school teacher told him that those who fail the most will continue to fail and will never succeed.
They don't know what I know.
okay, let's do this.
They don't know.
Let's do a podcast.
Do it.
Welcome back to another Zengineering podcast. I'm Adam.
I'm Brian.
I'm Borson.
And I'm D-Abel.
That's right. We got guests, like
Really
we promised.
A lot of guests.
A lot of guests, all at once too. That's what we're doing it. Just we got two, and then that's it. And we will have equaled last season in one episode.
Damn, that's a huge accomplishment.
No, so this is Borson and D-Abel. They have first names, but they can choose whether or not to disclose them.
Well, I just said my last name, Borson. It's already in there, so everyone knows who I am.
Right.
I'll keep mine on the low.
Well, yours is D-Abel, so everyone knows our last names. No one even knows our first names. Everyone knows our last names. That's it.
Is that on purpose? Are you afraid you're gonna become a target?
Exactly, dude. Hard target.
I think just growing up, everyone just called me Borson. No one really called me Adam. I think all my good friends, all the good peeps in the world call me Borson. So I think when we started to explore doing this podcast, we want people to know us for as our best friends do. So Borson and D-Abel have our last names in there.
My reason is because every job I've had, there's always been a stupid login, to log into the terminal, and it was always initial of your first name dot last name.
Like most of our guests so far, these are two of our best friends. I mean, you know these guys. You've known them for years. So you're on tonight because you guys are starting a podcast yourselves. And
Indeed,
that's
we
fucking
are.
awesome.
It is pretty awesome right now. I mean, we've talked about this for a while now, and you two have been really jumpstarted this. I don't know how long you guys been doing this for exactly.
Probably a year and a half.
Year and
since
a
we
half,
started,
if you
playing
count
around
all
with
of
it.
our, if you count all the false starts.
We're learning that very well too. So yeah,
A lot of false starts.
we've been starting. So yeah, just a few months ago, it's been an awesome adventure. So
Yeah.
we're trying to hopefully do something as awesome as what you guys have been doing so far. And thank you for inviting us to your lovely world now.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for having us.
For that, we
Thanks for
appreciate
coming
it.
over. It's hard to coordinate these things.
Yeah, right.
We're a bunch of old men with busy schedules, weird schedules.
Well, Kurt, we were just talking about this because we feel like we live two lives right now. We have our full-time gig, during the day. Then we go Clark Kent. Then we go Superman when it comes to podcasting,
Mild-mannered financial analyst by day, podcaster by night.
Super podcaster by night.
Super podcaster.
So the funny thing about having a podcast, for a year now, is that I spend a bunch of time telling people to listen to my podcast. Oh yeah, I was just talking about this on my podcast. And then I'm always like, oh, I'm self-promoting. But I'm also like, whatever, they could listen to this and then I don't have to repeat as much of the conversation.
Right.
But really frequently, I'm also met with the question, what is a podcast?
Oh my God, I get that question constantly.
Especially from our older folks.
So
No idea what a podcast is.
what's your answer?
Yeah,
For
what
what
do
is
you
a
got?
podcast?
What is it? What's a podcast?
Well, I think when it comes to podcasts, it's now just the real area where people can just free themselves, free their minds, share a wealth of information. I think this is the future. I think it is starting, but I think when I think of podcasts, this is the future of information sharing, and the podcast is the way to go. It's a way for us to share our thoughts and learn, have a very good time. Well, too much of a good time at times, but just be able to and share that with the world. We feel like we have to do this for planet Earth, basically.
And do you feel like the knowledge that people on the other side of doing this are going to listen affects your interaction with the medium as a podcast, right? One of our goals is to not have our conversation be too different from the way it would be if we were just at a campfire,
Right.
Yeah, no
but then I'm
filter.
also constantly aware that people might listen, right? I'm trying to be more articulate. I'm trying to express myself clearly, right? And it's turned into like almost an exercise in public speaking in a sense, except that I just get to like leave it somewhere and then walk away and not actually have to face the people I'm speaking publicly to.
I mean, it is interesting because like D and I mean, you two especially, I mean, it's just two of us, right? And then you don't realize that there could be hundreds or thousands of people listening. So it almost is like this virtual area where you're on stage in front of like a state, like maybe hopefully one day like an arena, like a virtual arena of like 20,000 plus people. That's what it's like every time doing this. That's crazy if you think about.
Right.
You know?
I remember Jones was saying the other day that it's helped him, like in your real life, communicate with people better, be able to get your thoughts across more clearly. And I'm starting to see that too as well. Like when I go to work, you know, I think the podcast is helping me like almost train a little bit on how to speak and communicate more clearly to coworkers, you know?
And just putting yourself out there. I mean, you know, if there's something that you really want to do and you really care about and passionate about, the only way you're gonna know or just do it is just fucking do it. Oh, wait, we can swear, right? Sorry.
Oh yeah, we have a whole episode on why
I
it's okay
can't
to
believe we've
swear.
gone this far without swearing, man.
This is a non-profit youth Christian podcast. Please don't.
That actually was our target demographic when we started, but they didn't like it.
Scientology demographic.
Borson, you just said something when you said when you have a passion, you want to share it. I want to point out to all of our guests as my intro for you that your passion is talking.
Yeah.
And so you were destined to be on a podcast and on the radio and very famous for your voice.
You know what? It's been a constant theme in my life, and I'm not. You know, that's the thing. Like, D, you guys always tell me that. I will never say to myself like I'm this big talker, I have this gift of gab or whatever. I don't like to like put that on myself. Like people tell me that. Like I just remember just growing up, even like when I was in commercial real estate working for a firm, the guy, you know, selling multi-million deals at like 24. Like I sold like a $4 million property like at 24 years old. And the broker was like, yeah, you got the gift of gab. And I was like, wait, okay, this is starting off like, this is like, you know, we're after college. And then even like in grad school, people call me Dr. B. My nickname was Dr. B because apparently you can operate with words. I'm like, okay, so there's gotta be a theme with all this. And I was president of Toastmasters. So for me, I love public speaking. I love putting myself out there. And I think it's just a matter of what that outlet was going to be. What was going to be the right medium for me to share the world, just me. And it couldn't have happened until now because of this sexy motherfucker D-Abel right next to me. With all this.
Sexy?
Got the hardware.
Are you kidding me? You know that. Stop that.
I'm ugly, dude.
I chose my co-host because I think he's sexy.
You are pretty sexy, dude.
Well, that's interesting because Borson, I don't want to speak for the other two of you, but I think the three of us fall in the category of not gift of gabbers. We are much more pensive, quiet, kind of more like the dark, lingering ones at the parties.
Right.
In the corner.
Jones, you're 6'8". It's kind of hard to be hiding in the
We can't hide,
corners.
Jones.
Right.
Not when I hide next to D-Abel.
Yeah, no, you're taller than me. Our creativeness is in more of a introverted creativeness, or as opposed to Borson's extrovert, you know, being able to be the life of the party and carry on a conversation with any homeless man he comes in contact with and make best friends with that homeless man.
See, I like,
You know what I mean?
I can be that way when I need to, but I'd rather not. So I'm
Exactly.
sitting there silently, and then somebody comes up to talk to me, and they're like, "Oh, he was totally personable," and I'm like, "Sorry, I'm in the corner with my resting bitch face."
Yeah.
I mean, how's that changed for you now that you've been starting your podcasting to, do you feel like you're two different people now? Or when you start and you feel like you're like the same person when you're going from your outside podcast life to podcast life? I mean, do you feel a change in how you talk to people?
Not really, in that there's no, like, the podcast, the opening, the place where my game is weak is the part where I have to go talk to somebody who I can't open. I can talk once you know we're talking.
Yeah.
And so the podcast is not too much different than a conversation with me would go. But if I don't have an opener that's like I hear you say something about a band I know or something, I don't know how to approach people that doesn't just make me feel awkward, right? And you just have to own it, right? You're just gonna be like, nice shoes. But I don't, but
That works.
Nice tits. What's your name? That's what I used to do. Didn't work ever.
so Borson, as somebody who, is more comfortable with that part of it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of one of the things I think is interesting that I have noticed with the podcast is where it has changed is I feel like I'm getting a lot more input on the way that, like, for Jones and I, we spend a lot of time trying to explain things on the podcast, like technical stuff.
Yeah.
And then I
By
can
the
go
way, you guys
talk.
do a great job at that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can have that conversation with people, right? And I can test out whether or not it works on this level where it's like I wrote a sentence, or like I said, a sentence, and I can get 50 people to look at it and tell me what they think, instead of just a conversation where it would be, okay, did the person across from me understand it? If they didn't, I'm gonna either keep hammering them with it until they do in different ways, or I failed and I'll get to try again the next time, right? It's like 1-to-1 instead of 1-to-50. So I get a lot more feedback on just like a version of an explanation via the podcast, which is cool because I feel like the things I want to be able to explain, I'm getting better, at a really satisfying clip because of the podcast where I wouldn't have.
I mean, you just gotta put yourself out there. I mean, for me, I don't worry about, oh my God, did I say this correctly? Did I say that right? Did I say it wrong? Or, when I start a conversation, I'll literally stumble until I find what they're interested in, what they're really want to talk about. I don't even look at myself as someone that's a professional talker or whatever you want to call me, but a good listener, because by being able to listen, you engage that person, you know what they're looking to talk about and how you can adapt to their conversation. I can like to think of myself as pretty adaptable in that sense. But I guess maybe we should probably talk a little bit more about, I think we're talking about with you interacting with people. We do that in almost every podcast so far since, we're about to launch January 17th, hopefully is that day. So it's recorded live, so we have to stick with that. But so I guess we should tell about our podcast.
Let's talk about your cast.
Yeah, we might as well.
Get to do the plug.
Yeah, that's plug. Get out of this,
We
man.
buried the plug. That's poor form. Welcome to the Engineering Podcast.
I actually just chatted Kerpelman. I was like, at the end, we need to redo the intro and get their podcast information in there right away.
Borson and D-Abel don't know shit. So I think for us, for me, for both of us, I've always, when we talk about what we want to do for a podcast, it's, I have no problem putting myself there. I'm always wanting to learn. And like you said, like I really love just talking to random people and just learning about them. And also just, I feel like a lot of people, like they want to have that passion. They want to try something out, but for whatever reason, they may not they don't have that oomph, or they may just be a little gun shy. And we're going to be fully loaded with a 6 gauge and we're going to try out everything.
6 gauge?
Blow
Is that
our
really
heads
big
off.
or really
How's a
small?
6 gauge?
12 gauge. Sorry, 12 gauge.
6 gauge is
must
when
be
you
some special
saw
mixing.
a shotgun in half, and then you also saw the ammo in half. You get a 6 gauge sawed off shotgun.
Ah, that makes sense.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, but like you were saying, sir.
Yeah, so the best way to describe us then is like, if you remember those books for dummies, the growing up, like reading for dummies, swimming for dummies, all that shit, we're doing that in a podcast form, and we're the dummies. That's basically the best way to describe what we're doing. Putting yourself out there, learning from awesome people, come on our show and about these things we don't know about, and we try out everything because I feel like a lot of people out there, they want to explore things, and it's like they're nervous or they're worried about getting embarrassed.
Yeah.
We're gonna get embarrassed live for you. We're here to embarrass ourselves for you, and hope maybe you'll learn something too and have a little fun. So it's been a fucking great journey.
Yeah, we've met just people who are not necessarily pop stars, but they're doing amazing things with their lives, and they're just real people that you encounter every day. So we're kind of trying to develop a community in the sense that, we can get these people's names out there that are doing their own, side businesses or where they've come from, and, just trying to promote in that sense.
I think
I feel like you have a way more focused mission than we do.
You guys came in with like a really well designed concept, and I love it. I think it's such a cool concept for a podcast, and I think it fits you guys really well. it also kind of speaks to the underlying reason I think so many people are starting podcasts. And I don't just mean like the four of us doing our two podcasts, but podcasts in general.
Yeah.
Everyone's realizing that like everyone else has really interesting things going on in their lives, and everyone could be interviewing all of their friends about those interesting things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also, it taps into this like really beautiful side of the world and of people and of specifically our friends. I mean, I think our friends in particular are amazing and wonderful, smart people, but everybody's got so much to offer. I love that. I think both our casts are kind of trending towards that goal. Find all those interesting things and dive into them.
What we started to realize when we started getting this ball rolling and after doing a few of these episodes is that look at these top podcasts out there. They're all amazing, but they have celebrities. And what we realized that, wow, you know what? These are some pretty cool people, just as talented as anyone you see on TV or in the news. And maybe they just need that voice that we can provide, that we can share them with. So that's what we started to realize. It's people down the street, your neighbor could be this cool, amazing person, just as cool as anyone else out there you read in a magazine or whatnot. And hopefully we're able to share that with.
What podcasts do you listen to?
Oh, Howard Stern. He's got a good one. Just Howard Stern, you know. And then I know Borson likes Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I'm a big podcast guy. I mean, you know, the Joe Rogan podcast is, I think, that's the best. I mean, that's where like I feel like I want to aspire to, because he just has these amazing conversations, free flowing, say whatever he wants, and the production's great, and he's very entertaining, engaging. He could do a 3-hour podcast, and you just want to keep listening to more. It's super cool.
Adam Carolla is another good one. Well, Stern isn't really on.
No, he's satellite radio.
XM radio.
Yeah, I didn't want to correct you there.
Yeah, but there's really no difference. I mean, you can look up Howard Stern and listen to him right now. He's basically a podcast.
Technically quality.
It's basically AM radio on the digital devices.
Wait, I want to talk about Howard Stern for a minute, because we probably have to thank Howard Stern for the fact that podcasts are a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like Howard Stern was probably
like the first of FM
radio show I'm really aware of.
Brian, you're right, man. If it wasn't for Howard Stern, we probably wouldn't be in this world right now. It's crazy.
He's a super iconic radio host.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you mean in terms of breaking ground, like just on the sort of conversational format, right? Like talk about shit, talk about whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No filter.
It's interesting.
Funny.
You know?
Here's an interesting thing. Okay, think about this then. Okay, so when Howard Stern was huge, started this world, it was just AM FM radio, right? What if podcasts existed when he was there? Do you think like he would actually be as famous as he is?
I think his personality would have definitely shined through and rose to the top.
Mm-hmm. You think this didn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Yeah, his movie, I think we all just said we saw it, right? His movie, he was crazy aggressive with getting his career off the ground, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. I think he'd be doing.
I mean, he kind of
just fine with the.
He kind of hopped. He was on radio, right? I don't remember the like whatever the reason was, but he hopped off of that and went to Sirius XM. Is that what he's on now? Satellite radio.
Fines and stuff.
He was like their
so
anchor show. They paid him boatloads of money to move over and like launch satellite radio. So he was a huge part of like a totally new business around radio shows.
He got paid $200 million.
$250 million.
50.
Yeah. Now, here's the funny thing now is they look at Sirius. So this is where you see things are evolving into podcasts, right? Because with Howard Stern, Sirius wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for Howard Stern. The reason why people subscribed was because of Howard Stern. You're able to charge $15-16 a month. Shit, I did that because I want to hear Howard Stern. Now he's like, I'm not even sure if he's still on, I don't know.
Yeah, he's still on XM radio.
I know he does like a part-time. He doesn't do like a full week. He does like maybe 2-3 a week or something like that.
Yeah.
But now you see him not performing as much on Sirius. And I get a letter from Sirius saying, hey, you can sign up right now, 5 months for $20, like $4 a month now, because they know like that was it. And also podcasts. Now we have podcasts. When Howard Stern started at Sirius, there really wasn't this huge podcast world that you see today. But now you see the evolution, I think, of media, audio media especially, that Sirius is struggling, and you just see just the changing of the guards almost at this point. And Howard Stern, though, I mean, you can see that
Precisely.
with all this going on, it's all Howard Stern. He's literally one of the key components.
Well, I think it's interesting you brought up Corolla, right? Because he was the first example of, I mean, like literally, if you hear him tell the story, he just says, well, the radio people started cracking down on us, and we said, fuck you, we'll go over here.
Yep.
And he just still does his radio show exactly as if it's a radio show, but delivers it via podcast, right? Like, that's what's really interesting to me about the medium is it is no different from radio, really, except that because the delivery mechanism is more like democratized, essentially.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, but like it's still just talk radio, which is why it's really funny that like I can't get my dad on board with podcasts because he loves talk radio.
Same with my my mother.
My mom won't listen because we use profanity.
They just, in that moment when they like are looking for entertainment, they just don't think to go to a podcast like I do.
I was like, "Who's your favorite AM, radio host?" And guaranteed they have a podcast or some form to transfer their show.
They at least deliver it.
Yeah, exactly.
All the like top 5 or 6 of the top 10 podcasts right now are all just NPR radio shows.
I love NPR.
Yep, you're of the age. You're of the age to love NPR. What an amazingly nerdy thing to say. I'm not sure that fits your regular podcast persona, Borson. I also love NPR.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say it.
What I think is interesting about the fact that is...
So how do we get our podcast on NPR? Is that a possibility?
question.
You start as a radio show.
Oh, you just need $1 million.
Well, no, we won't want to do that anyways. I think the great thing about having a podcast, it's our own thing. Like, I'd rather have a
NPR is
podcast.
more of a handcuff type of.
Well, you have to report to someone.
Ooh.
But
We're
what's
our own bosses
interesting,
here,
though,
right?
is
Yeah.
like if the idea for NPR is, learning or facts, like you said, like, I mean, you guys are still, you're going after that same thing. Joe Rogan is going after the same thing, right? Like I mean, sometimes he's just talking about UFC or comedy, but a lot of times it's just him trying to figure out how the world is. And NPR is really doing nothing different, except sometimes I like listening to Rogan just be like, dude.
Okay, so I want to get back to your guys' podcast.
Go
Sure,
for it, man.
guests.
Go for it.
I'm curious. So you've been working on your podcast, you said, for a couple months, right? Getting things set up.
Yeah.
So you're about to launch
Yeah.
next week, right? Next Friday.
Yeah. So I think 16th or 17th, as long as, everything's all good, that's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have an episode up that people can go to and listen to next Friday.
Absolutely. It'll be up on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and hopefully iTunes.
Super tight.
Yeah. We're having some issues with iTunes for some reason. We submitted the RSS feed, but we're getting no reply at all. We don't know what's going on.
And we're still in line. I don't know if there's this long line that's like we have to wait in because so many other people are doing a
How long did it
podcast.
take you guys to get a turnaround for iTunes?
So I don't remember. We had we had been cleared probably for 6 months before we actually put an episode up because we just
Okay.
You know.
I got you.
kept trying to make episodes and they were shitty.
I mean, so that's the thing with us right now is we're learning so much, over this last, few months of, doing these episodes. I mean, there's so much involved that you think, it's funny. It's like our episodes are basically around an hour-ish. It's like, okay, an hour, but there's so much more time we're spending than outside of that. The recording is almost like the easy part at this point. Then there's like the editing, the production. We work on a lot of like promotion, marketing, for me, I look at this, you're talking about like us being prepared, which is awesome. That's a huge compliment. Thanks. For me, I just come from a business mindset. I have a strong business acumen, I guess you want to say. Like I went to get my MBA at Indiana. And so a lot of people, we go for a top level MBA program. A lot of people start their own companies, start their own ventures. I have a lot of friends that have been doing it. They've been kicking ass. And I'm like, well, I've been wanting to do something that's like where I could put my name out there and have my own brand. I just didn't know what that avenue was going to be. And podcasts just seem to just be a natural fit where I can use everything I've learned my whole life, not just in business school, but through, being in commercial real estate and putting together just a sound business strategy. Because, I mean, as much fun as we have, we want to make this we want 1 million, we want 2 million, we want 100 million people listening to this one day. So we want to make sure we're doing it the right way. And yeah, as much fun as we have, we, work hard, play hard kind of mentality,
The calculation and level-headedness with which you explained that, like it's perfectly in line with the NPR statement. This is projects in your 30s, gentlemen.
Damn right.
I'm not just like, I don't know, let's just talk. And then like, oh, that's
well-seasoned veterans of life over here.
right.
Okay, so
Man,
I want to know, I've got 2 questions for you. I'm going to throw them both out, and you can choose which order to answer them in. What are you most excited about with your launch coming up and your podcast in general? And what are you most fearful of?
That's a good question. You want me to go first?
Go for it, D.
I'm most excited about the podcast release party because I think it's going to be great for all our guests to come over and celebrate, sort of getting their, what they're about out into the world, because we've interviewed a lot of people that are doing their own thing. They're running their own meditation, business, or their own like little startup of like graphic design or animation. We've had a guy that's like been in a amazing punk band for like his whole entire life, and it would just be really cool to see, something come of that because of our medium that we put out there. We help, we interview these people, and now, bam, suddenly they're blowing up, or we've reached a lot of people through connecting through our social network. So, just seeing how all of it is going to work and come together. That's what I'm pretty much excited about.
Cool.
And I'm most fearful of just basically my work, because I'm a perfectionist. So I really hold myself to a higher standard, and I want it to sound fucking perfect. It's not going to sound perfect, so I stress out about that shit. But I guess really don't fear like a negative response, because I know that, well, it doesn't really matter. You just got to continue to do what you believe in. So, yeah, I mean, that's my answer.
I love those answers. I love them because the first one's like raw and honest and like really good-hearted, and because the second one's not a big deal. So I know it's going to sound amazing.
Word.
And it'll just get better.
And thank you for your help too, answering all our technical questions along the way.
So happy to
Borson,
help.
go.
All right,
Borsy.
so me, I mean, you want most excited about, it's just with the launch is the culmination, right? It's not just the culmination of D and I's work and the magic we've been making here, but just the culmination of, I think, like my whole life. I feel like it's a culmination of everything I've gone through in my life, and we'll explain more about that on our grand opening, January 16th or 17th, depending how we upload it. So you'll get to hear more about our little upbringings and why we are who we are. There's definitely an awesome story with us that you guys should listen to. Borson DAbel Don't Know Shit. Plugging it. Done. Okay. So I think that's what I'm most excited about. It's like finally being able to share myself with the world. I feel like this is like something I need to do. Almost I don't know why it feels like maybe that's why I was put on this earth, is to be able to do what I'm doing right now. Maybe, and who knows where this goes, right? I mean, that's what I'm mostly about. It's like, this journey can go anywhere. You don't know, but you just got to start somewhere. And this has been a great way to do so. So then fears, I guess my main fear, honestly, is that this bombs. I mean, I think we're awesome. I think we have something very special that we can share. And we have cool things that are going to be unique to the listener. But if this doesn't work, man, as much as I love my life and love my, being a mild-mannered finance guy, I guess I would like to be doing this more for the rest of my life, hopefully one day. And, the fear of it not working out. But I always believe that fear is what drives you even more, right? So like kind of like Dee was saying, he's worried about things not working, but then you just become a perfectionist, and that's a huge skill set you keep building over and over again. And that's where you can't settle. Like, you can't take a day off. Like, if you really want something and you're worried if it's not going to happen, you got to fucking just put all your energy to it and go to fucking work and hustle hard and make it happen. So that's like a good motivation. The fear is actually a good motivation. And if you're fearing, if you're scared, then that means you're doing something that you really want to do. I feel at the end of the day, then you're getting out of your comfort zone for sure.
And what I like about that answer is like, it also relates to something I think is interesting about trying to put together like what a podcast is or what a radio show is, right? It's not like, oh, we were picked up for one season and we've got to deliver 12 episodes and then we're done, right? Like my biggest fear is that I'll have to stop doing this.
Oh yeah,
for some reason, right? Like I just want to keep the project going. And so when you stack that perfectionist on thing, like for me, it's not so much perfection, but it's just like I'm just always trying to improve.
Yeah.
And so having this sustained project is kind of just practice at that, where in other places in life, you don't necessarily get it in the same way that it's like, okay, like I enjoy the debriefs that Brian and I have after we put out an episode and we have listened to it a couple of times ourselves. And then we're like, I say like a lot,
you learn a lot about yourself, or, oh, I sound like a fucking idiot.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing what you learn listening to yourself talk.
Yeah, it really is.
But that same thing is why it doesn't surprise me that comedians sort of led the wave in terms of podcasts coming out, right? Like guys like Joe Rogan, Adam Carolla. I mean, for one, jokes carry over easily, but also like that's what hitting the road with comedy is. You're trying it and you're trying it and you're trying it 30 people at a time until you get the joke that's right for the big theater that goes in the Netflix special, and you hope you get a career out of it, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, so we did a podcast episode. It's be one of our first ones. It's with this amazing comedian Sandy Danto. He's actually my cousin, and he's been performing at the store, the Comedy Store in Hollywood, and tours with Pauly Shore. Opens up for like Ali Wong. Now is on tour with Adam Ray. I think there's in Vegas for New Year's, and it's so awesome. It really is an art, and you just put yourself out there. It's kind of like that theme with the podcast, right? And you're trying stuff over and over again. And so it was great to have him on. And I tried it. I tried a 5-minute open mic, and I've been doing open mics actually a lot before and after. Most of the time I fucking bomb, not gonna lie. But it's fun because you okay, that worked. Maybe if I tweak it this way, maybe I try it that way. So, it's kind of cool going through that whole experience, and you think you're funny, then you go out there and you're like, oh wait, maybe I wasn't that funny. Yeah.
Well, and then there's also like a community of comedians, right? So it's like you get notes from other people that are hanging around, like, hey man, maybe if you did it like this. I feel like podcasting is the same way, right? Like I talk to you guys, I talk to a lot of people about like, oh, did you understand what I was saying? How did that work? Was that funny?
Yeah.
Do I sound like an asshole? That's usually my question.
Let me ask you this. I mean, since you guys have been starting, I'm sure you guys getting feedback from listeners, like email, whatever, how you get your feedback from. What's been the response? Like, have there been like assholes like trolling you at all, or like haters out there?
I haven't really encountered any trolls or anything. And I don't know if that's just a matter of our reach so far, or that we kind of try to be pretty proactively like, hey guys, stay groovy.
Peace, love,
I feel
and
like
happiness,
it's hard
brother.
to be angry at our podcast. Like I think the first one that I was like, ooh, I wonder what people might say to this was when we were talking about the election and stuff, right? Because it's like that space where you might just piss people off. But everything else is kind of like, electric cars don't really make anybody mad.
Okay. A little more neutral, more Switzerland-esque.
Yeah. The coolest thing has been people that we've reconnected with, who, like, because we're promoting through social networks, right? So it's like a lot of the people that do listen are people that we know. Mm-hmm. And so they've started conversations where it's like, it causes me to reflect on my past and the fact that I'm like, the reason I even said that thing that my friend just emailed me about is probably because the time I spent hanging out with him doing improv.
Yeah, what's been cool? I totally get where you're coming from, because what's interesting is, so when we officially like, okay, it's time to go live, the world's going to have to know what we're doing. I first wanted to reach out to all my friends, like invite them to our Facebook page, Borson DAbel, Facebook, look it up, also Instagram and Twitter.
Massive Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Yeah. Sunday. More furniture for less.
So I've been inviting friends, and I scroll through the list of the people I'm inviting. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't talked to that person forever. I'm like, when they see what I'm about to do, they're going to fucking lose their mind. Like, oh shit. Oh, jinx, baby. Love you, mean it. Yeah. So that's what's been cool. It's like, that's what gets me excited too, is that these people I haven't talked to in a while. Like I'm sending it out and I'm seeing them like get invited or accept the messages and the group pages and all that. It's like, oh man.
Speaking of excitement,
yeah.
the great thing about working with Borson is he gets so excited that he runs out of breath sometimes. And he'll get like this. He'll go, yeah. And we have it. So at the end of our podcast, I do like little ditties. So for people out there who want to listen, you'll understand that if you listen all the way through, you'll hear some of Borson's head explosions of his excitement.
So here's a question: Do you think everyone should have a podcast?
I think everyone should be able to speak their minds and say whatever they want, you know. And that's
It's
kind of
good
like
therapy.
Oh my god, it's like
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
Maybe not everyone, because some people would just. Well, I mean, why not?
Don't
you
hold
know?
back. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, some people are just. I wouldn't really listen to certain individuals.
Stupid people.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, that's the nice thing about podcasts. Like I feel like you can find any little niche you want, little community you can find now.
Stupid people.
Even
But stupid people will
stupid
listen
people
to
podcasts.
stupid people. So there you go. I mean,
Well-
it's a great community to build.
We're trying to be the book for dummies.
We're
podcast.
stupid people. Actually.
Yeah,
we're those ones. So.
we literally don't know shit. That's
Yeah.
that's the name of our podcast. Don't
Right.
know shit. So yeah, we admit that we're stupid right from the beginning. So let me ask you guys: if you could have one like super like animal like gift, right? So like if I would love to have like the
Night
abilities of
vision,
an ant, which is like you could lift up 50 times your own weight. Like that would be dope
man.
to have like this.
Yeah, I would do night vision.
Such a nerdy question, and so difficult to answer.
What do owls? Oh no, they're just nocturnal.
Nocturnal. You
That's
are
a lame
nocturnal.
skill.
Well, you are nocturnal. We're up, by the way, when we do these podcasts, you know what? That's the thing is like we have a full life. I mean, my God, full life. So I work like the corporate gig right now, 9 to 5. D works the graveyard shift at a jail, for God's sake. So like we're like these just two opposite ends of the fucking world. And then we somehow try to meet like during the week. And we're like together. It's like 2, 3 in the morning. Like just,
My wife thinks I'm cheating on her with you.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Hey,
she
get-
calls
are
you
you?
her other husband too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the side. I'm
Are
the
you?
side piece in the relationship. We have a polyamorous relationship right now, for sure. Yeah, that's the word. That's the actual real word.
I'm sure it is. I've never heard of it.
Well, there's that show on Showtime called Polyamorous. Actually, that's the name of it. It took place in North Park.
Is it a geometric shape like a polygon?
Jones, I refer that question to you, Max. I don't know shit about that.
Jones trivia.
I'll have to check it out.
Hey, how many sided die is the polyamorous?
It's three or more sided.
Brian, what was that 20-sided die you were calling it? What was it?
Dodecahedron.
Dodecahedron?
Yeah.
Why have that?
That's
Why
I
why
call
have
mine.
that?
That's the nickname for my dick.
Because it's like
It properly stratifies the idea of luck inside of a role playing game.
don't you have 100-sided die somewhere, don't you, Jones?
I do. I have a 100-sided die, and you know what? That's too many.
Almost.
You don't need
It's
1 to
almost a
100.
sphere. It's
1 to
dumb.
20.
So a nerd question then. So we go down a little bit of the rabbit hole here. Is it possible to have it like an infinite sided die per se?
Good question. How would you ever roll it? Could it ever land on something?
Eventually, it has to, right?
If it were infinitely, it would appear to us to be a sphere or just be a black hole.
Right? An infinite-sided die would roll forever.
That sounds like a great name for an emo band.
Infinite sided die.
Yeah.
Totally. It's a really deep question. I like it.
Well, we love going down rabbit holes. You know, that's a great thing about what we do is that we give ourselves a lot of flexibility. So it depends on the guests that we have. We definitely want to go learn as much as we can about how they became an expert, how they went from a dummy to like a rock star in their expertise. But during that whole time, you know, we'll go down the rabbit hole. We'll just we'll go on a random tangent on something to see where that flows. And then if we've gone too deep, then we'll just try to get ourselves back up. But that's the cool thing about this. Just we can really go wherever we want, but at the end of the day, we really focus on learning about their craft and then trying it out, making it for ourselves, making it entertaining, and try to keep everything in layman's terms. Because I feel like I'm an idiot when I ask questions, but there's no such thing as a stupid question.
That makes a great host.
Yeah.
There is such thing as a stupid.
Makes a
question.
great teacher.
I'm with the Abes on this. But it's a nice lesson to teach kids when they're real young. But by like 10 or 12, we need to like, there's no Santa Claus, there's no Easter Bunny, and a lot of your questions have been really stupid.
Yeah, there you go. We're back to our segment, things you shouldn't teach kids.
Oh, I love that. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Was that loud there? That was a loud game.
Yeah,
see, that's my problem. I have such a loud voice that I change the volume so rapidly. But no,
Borson's head just exploded.
Yeah, I put so in the last one I was editing, I put some sounds where you get really animated, and you're like, and then I go, but no one would understand.
my one question about your podcast actually is it typically when you guys are doing this video that Jones, you're naked? Because I think you're naked right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I wanted to get naked though.
Oh, your hands are up good.
The
I was wondering where your
original
hands were.
name of the show was Topless Science.
Bullshit. Seriously?
It really,
At one point.
it gets really hot in here. I don't know what it is, but it's like 120 degrees in my office right now. So I had to take some things off because I can't run the fan. Okay, so I got a question for you guys that I should have asked earlier that we'll probably drop back at the beginning. But since you just went through the process of starting from scratch and now you're about to release episodes, I get the question a lot from people, hey, how do you do your podcast? Like, what do I need to get started? I know I was there when you guys like first started asking this, and I know you bought like a couple things and you're like, cool, we're going to do a podcast. And now you gave us a tour of your studio before we started here, and it's grown dramatically. But I'm curious, like, what do you say to people? What would you tell someone right now who like doesn't know anything, who doesn't know shit, but wants to get started?
Well, Borson, when he first presented the idea to me, he said, "I'm ready, D. I got it. I got everything." I came over. He had a 1946 Tascam 8-track recorder, and I said, "Dude, what is this?" And I just took it and threw it in the trash can. So you don't start with that. You would need just a computer, little audio interface, some mics, and I mean, if you buy a Mac, it comes with GarageBand, and that's really a simple, audio software you can work with just to record, vocals into and do some editing and uploading sounds and whatnot. And then, you would just basically upload it to those exported audio files to SoundCloud, and that's how you get your RSS feed. And then you upload that to the directories out there like Stitcher and iTunes, and there you go.
So if somebody already had a computer, what do you think they could get started for? What could they buy, like a microphone? And explain what like an audio interface is. Give people a sense of like what would be the minimum setup someone could use.
$. You can buy. I think you can buy a like one of the ones that we first tested was the Focusrite audio interface, which is just it's got 2 XLR inputs, which is the cable that runs from the mic into the audio interface. It connects to your computer via USB, and that's how you get the audio signal into your computer. So that's basically the gist of an audio interface. And then,
well, one of the things that's interesting that I think about the barrier to entry. I mean, because what you're talking about right now, right, is sort of the barrier to entry, right? Like, what are the tools that you need at minimum to pull this off? And the real answer to that question is all you need is a smartphone, really. Like, you could do it with the Memos app on your iPhone and then put that file in the right place and then have a podcast that people can download, at least in terms of, the delivery mechanism, right? I mean, it would sound like a phone call on an iPhone.
Yeah,
exactly. You could,
right? But like technologically, the hard part of record that audio and then put it in a place where anyone can pull it down that wants to just by subscribing, like that's taken care of, like by the stuff that we talk about on the podcast all the time, right? So now you're talking about get to a level where it's a nicer experience.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm curious, like, where in that gradient is the magic difficulty of barrier to entry that has made podcasting become what it is?
It's amazing.
Right? Because not everyone has one, right? It's just hard enough that most people don't do it.
Right. It's amazing to think that we can do this now, but 30 years back, there'd be no fucking way. You had to go work at a major FM or AM radio station and have your own talk show.
Right, like college radio.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first step, though, is you got to get the right equipment. You got to hook it up. You got to be able to record, get the audio in, edit it, and then release it. But then Boris, what's your thought once you have the right equipment? What's your suggestion to people? How do you get started on the non-technical components?
What do you talk about?
Yeah, what do you do? How did you figure out what you wanted to do?
Do like when it comes to like a format, or just like what?
Yeah, like who you wanted to be in radio, and how you guys have practiced together, and how you decided on guests. And
Well, you know what? I think for us, what's challenging about what we're doing, because we have like an interview based type of podcast half the time. So we're just what's awesome is that we work really hard trying to bring in guests, but we're very fortunate to have awesome people already that we know that are super talented and stuff that we don't know shit about, and we could bring them on. And, eventually what's been cool now is we're kind of getting past that point now of like our friends, and awesome like connections we have. We're actually going next level to, I think we just did a couple of podcasts recently where we didn't even know the person until like the day of or that week of, and then we brought them on. So it's just,
pushes us to kind of sort of go outward of our immediate circle, which is a cool thing.
Because eventually, long term, if this is really going to take off, we're going to be bringing on people. It'll eventually be no one that we know. It could be, hopefully we'll have a staff and they'll be like booking it for us, and we'll do our research and everything. But honestly, what's been great for me is that I'm trying out a little bit of everything. So, I'm learning GarageBand. I'm learning all the audio stuff.
You basically taught yourself video editing. You made this amazing trailer of our podcast, and when you first were going to show me, I was like, all right, this isn't going to be that good. It blew my fucking mind away, dude. I was like, wow, this is hilarious. So if you guys want to check it out, it's on our Facebook page, Borson and D-Abel.
And Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah.
And the world.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
go ahead, man.
like the answer I think I would give to that is you just start doing it.
That's
like,
it. That's all it is.
It's funny because it's the same thing that came up in our photography episode. Like in a digital world where you're not burning through tape or vinyl or like celluloid film, just talk about stuff with your buddy, and then talk about how it went and try to improve. And I mean, like, that's how we got to it. We just did it for 6 months, and we kept going like, oh, I listened back to that. It was shit.
Yeah, you have like
how can we
resources
fix it
now? You don't have to worry about tape or any of that shit. Cutting reel to reel. I mean, it's incredible.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you just can't. You kind of just had like this epiphany. You came, like, D, I want to start a podcast called I Don't Know Shit, and I was like, oh, all right.
It's just a need, I'll be honest. If I know I had it. To me, it's like if I don't do this, I'm gonna fucking regret the shit out of this when I'm older.
Yeah.
I'm in this time where I know I can do it, and it's just it has to happen now. I feel like everything's coming together. With D and I, we have our own special talents that you combine it together, man. We're not fucking around with this, and it's just. I think growing up, I just have no problem talking, no problem putting myself out there, because I'm just always curious. I think I've just always been curious and not too worried about what other people think. I mean, again, we're going to tell you our amazing stories in our first little podcast coming up in a couple of weeks, but it's really just because practice is what's important. You can learn, you can read, you can study, but if you just got to put yourself out there. I think Malcolm Gladwell is like the 10,000 hours guy. So that's what you got to do. Or is that's Tim Ferriss? You guys are no better than I do. But just do it over and over and over again, and it just comes normal. It's like muscle memory. So for me at this point, it's muscle memory. Talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just.
I'm sleeping right now. I'm like, my eyes are closed. I'm sleeping. And I'm having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
God, sorry, guys.
I think what's interesting about some of the podcast formats, and Joe Rogan's is definitely like this, and what you're saying lines up with the same idea, is just like there's a genre of podcast that's essentially like curiosity as a service. Like some people just aren't curious. They're not like, hey, how does this work? But some people are, and you need the people that are curious to ask questions so the people that aren't necessarily can still learn things. And so it's sort of like, I don't know where to go with that, right? But I just like this idea of providing curiosity, right?
I know where
like,
you're getting at.
I care about shit, so you don't have to so much.
Yeah, you can just do the same thing you've been doing for your entire life and be miserable and wonder why. And I'll figure out how not to be.
And there's, I think you're talking about the genre of curiosity. It's a good. That's like actually good. That's kind of cool. Like what he says. That's a good way to describe.
I'm so
there's this
curious I break shit sometimes.
we know what comes to the curiosity. That's a good way to describe it because we didn't know what category to put us because you have to do that when you upload to iTunes and Stitcher. It's like entertainment, education. Curiosity might be the best way to describe it if you really think about entertainment and curiosity.
Is that a category? Curiosity?
Curiositainment. I think what I enjoy for me when it comes to podcasts or just even that just shows is the authenticity. Like people are being themselves. They're not trying to pretend to be someone that they're not. And they're really putting
Not
themselves
controlled by a program director.
right. And just they're not worried about what they're going to say or feel and vulnerable too. Like that's the one thing that I think we both noticed and realized going through this is that, in a lot of these episodes, we talk about stuff that honestly, I don't think I even talked to my parents about before, And
Same.
Yeah, definitely.
so that vulnerability out there, because I want people to know me for who I am and D too. So it's that and I like to see that when I listen to podcasts or I hear podcasts is knowing that they're coming from their hearts and they're okay putting us out there and saying stuff that most people just always keep to themselves and they're the ones putting it out there. We want to be those type of people on these podcasts for sure.
There's the founder of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian, talks about the coming age of authenticity, where it's like there's a lot of chaff, there's a lot of crap, right? Yeah. But like the stuff that wins tends to be authentic. Yeah. It's and I work with clients where bands particularly where I'm doing social media stuff with them, and it's like I'm giving away the farm, right? Just be yourself. That's what people are connecting with. And if you find a way to be yourself through that medium of social media, then you don't have anything to worry about. And it's like you might want to take on a persona, or I think I'm definitely like I'm probably a little different on the podcast than I am in person. Mm-hmm. But the enthusiasm for whatever dumb shit we're talking about is absolutely genuine.
The last thing people like, they want to feel that truth and the individual exposing themselves. Well, it exposes you for your vulnerability state. When you start talking the truth about what you've been through, and like you said, not trying to act like someone who you aren't, and. Yeah, it's a good character builder.
I feel like you go through this. I feel like we're going through this era or phase where I think Survivor, was the first reality show. And ever since then, I think everything's been reality shows. Everything's been superficial. And I think it's gone to this maximum like boiling point, I feel, where people want, authenticity. They want to see it in their politicians. They want to see it in the news. They want to know that it's real, like really real, not like reality show real, but like really real. So I think we're getting back into that. And I think that's where you see what's popular out there is those type of shows, those type of that whatever medium it's coming from. That's what you're seeing now these days. Yeah. So it's kind of nice to be part of that right now.
Reality shows came on the scene 20 years ago. I mean, Real World. Real World was one of the first ones, and Real World actually really was Real World. The first couple seasons, it really hit. It was ahead of its time, and then it became this trendy thing. There's a
great Chuck Klosterman essay about how after like the second season of Real World, archetypes had been established, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna go be the slut. Like people were going on that show knowing that they were gonna be X guy from the Breakfast Club.
Well, they discovered and defined the real world, and then you had this generation that's grown up since then. The internet came online like around that time.
Yeah.
And so you've had this younger generation, us really. I mean, the first season of Real World, we were young teenagers.
Yeah.
And we saw that and we're like, this is interesting, but it's bullshit. It's not the real world. The real world is the people we see who are sharing themselves. They're sharing the truth. And that's what Curb and I were talking about this right before we hopped on. We were talking about what is happening with podcasts. And a lot of our favorite podcasts, we like them because the person comes across as themselves. And so we can listen to them talk for a 3-hour conversation. If you talk for 3 hours with one of your buddies, it's almost going to be impossible for you to hide who you really are. Your listeners are going to pick up on that. And Kirk's point was that could and maybe should be the future of media because it gets past the bullshit. News journalists on TV are expected to be trustworthy, but they put on a trustworthy shell and then they say these little sound bites. You can't get news that way anymore. We need to know who you really are so we really know why you're saying what you're saying. And that's what's so fun about doing this podcast.
Yeah, that's not news. What you see like on, the cable news
Anything you
or
see on
local news,
TV is not real.
it's not real.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that too, Boris, because it's something that I think really resonates with all of us. I would say all three of you are very authentic people, and I never catch any of you being fake people. And I think that wears people, that can wear you out, being genuine all the time.
Well, you think of
Because it's a world where people aren't genuine most of the time.
I have a good piece for the outro. What I do on our podcast is called Degenerate Beat Poetry. And I wrote one about your guys' podcast.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, ready?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay. It's Zengineering, engineering the quality and quantum physics of the future podcasts of today's and tomorrow's generation. Manipulation through sound waves and vocals will get you to stroke your cockstrokers, but at the same time, inside the mind, it goes deep within the paradox of the several infinite-sided dies that we all believe in and reside in our lives. Zengineering.com.
That was fucking amazing.
That's called Degenerate Beat Poetry.
Podcast.com.
Wait, did you just write that?
That was outstanding.
No, it's just off the top of the head. Zengineering Degenerate Beat Poetry.
That's wonderful.
That is absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that with
good
us.
as a place to get out of here as any.
you'll get that and much more on Borson DAbel, Don't Know Shit, coming to you January 17th or 16th, depending on what day it works.
Oh, you're so much better at plugging stuff than I do, right? Like this is you're doing the thing that I always just fumble through at the end. I'm like, thanks for coming and
Plugging machine.
see us in the places. And
Yeah, so list off the top of your head six of your guests that are going to be on this season. What they are. Tease people.
We go all over the place. Like I said, stand-up comedy. I do a fucking 5-minute set here in San Diego. Y'all gonna enjoy. We do some yoga. I go and do some yoga flow for y'all. We're gonna do some craft cocktails. We're gonna get probably shit-faced and enjoy some lovely drinks with some awesome guests in that one. We're doing some gourmet cooking. We're doing some meditations. We're fucking rocking out the drums. We are all over the place, and we are just getting started, man. So hope y'all gonna enjoy this. It's coming to y'all real soon.
And
Borson
don't
DAbel.
forget animation.
Oh, that's the
animation
secret.
station.
That's
How our
right.
logo was created.
We're going to give you one word to describe our animation.
He's a mythical creature.
Schlonglord. That's it. That's all we can say. Schlonglord. Schlonglord.
All right, and where are we going to be able to get this? Where's it going to be? What's your website?
Well, right now, we actually took this from your playbook. Right now, we're currently on Patreon.
How do
That
people
is
find
our,
you on Patreon?
Borson
Search
and
for D-Abel and
D-Abel.
Borson?
Yes, sir. And
Yeah.
also Facebook, Borson and D-Abel. Twitter, our handle is Borson and D-Abel. SoundCloud, Borson and D-Abel.
And there you have it, man.
Fantastic.
There you have
Stitcher.
it.
connect with them all those places. Connect with us in all the same places. And thanks as always to our backers on Patreon who lighten the load on us. And thanks for hanging out for another one. I'm Adam.
I'm Brian.
I'm Borson.
And I'm D-Abel.
Thanks for coming over, guys. This was a real strong surf sesh that we had here.
They don't know what I know. They don't know.
I love audio waveforms. And you say Borson.
I'm Borson.
Yeah.
I'm Borson. I'm the Borson.